Hello and welcome to Simply Technically. I'm one of your co-hosts, Evan, and Keaton is back.
What's up?
So we don't have a guest this week. I guess we kind of dropped the ball, but we already know we're going to talk about Thunder stuff and just NBA in general. So we pretty much know about it, but make sure you follow us on Facebook or like our page on Facebook, Simply Technical. And then make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. And if you don't want to have a video feed or you want to close your app, make sure you check us out on Spotify. Should be under Simply Technically or Simply Technical, sorry. But make sure you follow us on all those and get notifications on. We also have a Twitter at Simply Technical. So make sure you follow us on those, get updated on when all our videos are going to go live or podcast. And let's get into it. So I'm sure most of you heard.
This is a sad day.
Yeah, sad day. It's 2 days after the trade. Today's the 7th of July. And we traded Paul George to the Clippers.
Yeah.
So
Pretty sure it completely blindsided everyone in the NBA.
Yeah, there was hardly any rumors about it.
Yeah, I don't even think there were any rumors about it.
ESPN reported that they had rumors, but they wasn't enough to confirm it. So there was mumblings, I guess. As we know, the Thunder like to move in secret.
Yeah. Presti's always dealing in silence.
Yeah, he doesn't like... Reminds me of Kawhi. Doesn't like to say a lot, but his actions show, what he's talking about. So the Thunder traded Paul George to the Clippers. Kawhi actually approached Paul George and said, "Hey, I want to play with you.
Play with you back home, where
back
we're both
home
from."
Yeah.
So Paul George's biggest. I guess we could start out talking about making guesses as to what made Paul George request this trade. And I think you said Shams tweeted out yesterday about how Paul George kind of had a buyer's remorse pretty much right after he signed. He always wanted to go home, but obviously last year he didn't want to play with LeBron. I think when you play with LeBron, you are the scapegoat most of the time. So I feel like that's why Kawhi and Paul George didn't want to play with them. And then the Clippers didn't have as good of an opportunity as the Thunder did, so he re-signed with us. And then, obviously no one likes how it ended. It really sucks to me because they had so much potential. If you paid attention in December and January, this team was the second best team in the league. And I honestly thought they looked like the best team in the league. But it's unfortunate most people, especially these guys who are young and sort of, they're all emotional. So you kind of remember the last experience you had, and the last experience he had is him getting dropped by Damian Lillard. So I feel like
memed on the internet.
He got memed on the internet.
So, to go along with that, Shams also tweeted that he had discontent. Him and Russell both had discontent. He didn't really say about what, but my first reaction to it was he's discontent with Russell. He's upset with Russell. They both are upset at each other. But as more reports came out, as I thought about it more, it's more discontent with the team and Billy Donovan, which is the coach, and Sam Presti, he was just discontent with the organization. So he saw Kawhi carry a mediocre team to a championship.
Yeah.
He had help, and the help was injuries.
Yeah.
But he saw him carry that, and he said, "I wonder what we could do together." Kawhi reached out to Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant said, "No, I want to be first fiddle, and I want to be in Brooklyn.
Yeah,
I want to go to the East." So Kevin Durant, went to the Nets. the next best player, I guess, in Kawhi's eyes besides himself is Paul George.
Yeah.
So he texted Paul George or called Paul George and talked to him about it and recruited him.
To me, so actually earlier I saw someone tweeting a video. It was an interview. It was media day for the Thunder before training camp last year. So Paul George had already re-signed, and they asked him. Kawhi had just gotten traded to the Raptors, so they asked him, "Oh, do you and Kawhi? Have you talked to Kawhi about having an open mind and maybe re-signing? Because that's obviously what most people thought was." It was a potential that the Raptors saw the Thunder's formula and thought they could replicate it. And
Get their superstar to resign.
Yes. And Paul George he scratches his face. He looks down. You could tell it's kind of uncomfortable. He talks about how he's talked to Kawhi and they're actually really good friends. And then he talks about how both of them want to go play in LA, but you just got to keep an open mind.
They have so much in similar.
Yeah, and so I don't know.
And then he goes in more into the depth of the stereotypical answer of I told him to keep an open mind and consider it.
Yeah, you could tell there was I think this is not necessarily been planned from the beginning, but it was an option from the beginning, and in the end this is a lot better for the Thunder than
him just leaving.
Paul George just signing with the Clippers last year, so
like Durant.
It sucks. Yeah, it sucks, but I guess we'll talk more about the trade in a bit. But
so what all we got back? So we traded Paul George to the Clippers, and it's not official, but it's pretty much taken as canon now. So the Clippers gave us their 22nd pick, 24 pick, and 26th pick. So those are their own, and they're unprotected. And then they also had Miami's pick in 2021, and then they had another Miami pick, which was in 23, but it's lottery protected. Miami sent it to the Clippers, and it was protected in the lottery. And then in 23 and 25, we have the rights to swap.
Yeah.
So for those of you that don't know about pick swaps, we either have one or the other. We either have our own pick or we have the Clippers pick. So we decide, hey, the Clippers have the 13th pick and we have the 28th pick. We want we don't want the 28th pick. We want the Clippers pick, or say our pick is better. We'll keep ours and they get to keep theirs. So it's not the same as having both, but we can still choose if we want the better of the two picks. And then we also got Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Danilo Gallinari. So Gallinari has an expiring contract. He's still a good player.
He's decent. He can shoot. We got our shooter.
But we lost a bit. We lost our shooter, our number one option. So, and Shea, and I think he'll be a sophomore. He'll be a second year this next year. So he was a rookie last year. He averaged 10, 3, and 5, I think. About
11,
that.
3, and 5.
11, 3, and 5. So he's, a salvageable player for being a rookie.
I'd say you guys need to look him up. I think he's got legit potential. The dude, he's long and athletic. He kind of plays like Russ to me. Just watching him.
6'7", you said?
6'7", yeah.
And he plays point guard, but
he's literally I guess Sam Presti's his dream.
So he also shot 37% from 3, which is a lot better than Russell shot.
Yeah.
I say a lot better, 5 or 6% better, and he shot 40-something% from the floor. So, pretty good rookie numbers. He only played 26 minutes last year, or average
per game. Yeah,
average. So
those are good averages for that amount of time.
Yeah,
they had a decent point guard lineup.
They had Patrick Beverly, right?
Patrick Beverly and Lou Williams.
So, but he still got serviceable time.
Yeah.
The Clippers were really high on him, so it's surprising that they gave up on him, or not gave up on him, but traded him. But they knew that if they didn't get Paul George, they were not getting Kawhi.
Yeah.
So, they gave up a lot, but if the Clippers don't win a championship for the next two of the next year out of their they signed Kawhi to a 4-year deal. So if they don't get Kawhi and Paul George a championship in 2 of those years, I think it's a loss.
You got to look at it the exact same way we talked about the Lakers, even though
with Anthony Davis trade.
Even though for that we kind of bummed on the Lakers, but both these teams made trades to win championships now and kind of sacrifice their future. So if you don't win a championship, then
you bust. It's not good. They gave up a lot, but if they don't win, they lose. That was an L. But right now, I'd see it as kind of an even trade. I mean, they gave up a ton.
An even trade that sucks for us and puts us in a rough position in the immediate future, I guess.
Our immediate outlook is bad, but
yeah, terrible.
we still have moves to make.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of rumors going around about Russell. Oh, well, before we get into the Russell trade, we can talk about our starting lineup as of now. So if we don't trade Westbrook, we have Westbrook and Schroeder at the point guard spot. Then at the shooting guard, we have Ferguson or Shea.
Yeah.
And Shea. I mean, coach's decision on who's going to start. And then at the 3, you have Gallinari. He can play either the 3 or the 4, either forward spot. But we have Grant, so we we want Grant to be our starting 4.
Oh yeah.
So we have Gallinari and then Nader. I mean, Nader's done well.
Nader's okay.
I think we gave up like a 2nd-round pick for him, so
yeah,
he's been pretty serviceable for us. And then at the 4, like I said, Jeremy Grant, who's still young. He's 23 years old, 24 years old. And then Patrick Patterson, who, when he played for the Raptors a couple of years ago, he was good, but
he's fallen off.
He's fallen off.
His shot has been rough.
He got married. He's just not. He's not what he was with them. But if he can improve, he shot really well last year at the beginning, and then he just fell off.
Yeah. And he's garbage at defense. So
even though he's supposed to be a 3 and D4,
yeah.
But he can switch on to perimeter players better than Adams, but not all that great.
Yeah.
And then at the center position, you have Adams and Noel, which all of this is subject to change because
this team,
we're in a rebuilding.
Nobody's safe. No one's safe.
No one. I mean, I would say
Jeremy Grant's the only.
Grant and Ferguson are probably our 2 untouchables right now.
Yeah.
And you could even.
I'd say Nerlens is untouchable since he just signed a contract.
Well, I think there's some rules on that, on 1-year deals. I think you technically have a no trade clause or something. There's something along those lines. There's some stipulations on signing a 1-year deal.
Okay.
On trading him. So let's get into these Russell Westbrook trade rumors, which
it's in a okay. So we all love Russell Westbrook. Well, most of us love Russell Westbrook, but at this point, what is the point in keeping him? We got to go full on rebuild. Because if we have Russell Westbrook, we are probably a 10th seed in the West right now as it looks. We're going to get, 11th pick. Without Russell Westbrook, I think we get a top 7 pick. So,
and we want the Clippers, I mean, having their picks, we want them to lose. We want them to be bad since we have their pick, but
yeah,
they're going to be good, so.
Well, we don't have the picks for a while, so we're
I think the first one. Let's see. We have Miami's pick in 21, so we want Miami to be bad. So that's this next year. That's this next draft.
Yeah.
So we want them to be bad, but
I don't think they will be a lottery team.
No, they'll
especially in the East.
Yeah. So actually, as the lottery goes now, it's by record.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So. I believe it's by record. I could be wrong.
I didn't know that. I don't know.
Because it's not by seeding in each conference. So I guess before we get into the trades, kind of jig-jogging around, but we could still retool an option.
It is not.
It's an option, but it's maybe not the most preferable.
Yeah.
Because Russell's unhappy. I say unhappy. He's, as Shams tweeted, saying he's discontent, meaning he's upset that we're first round exiting. Him and George were both upset that we were first round exiting. This last year, we couldn't really do a lot. Both of them were injured. Adams was injured. The team was not playing well when George got injured, so
that's why it drives me nuts.
That he demanded trade this year.
Yeah. I just think some of these guys, they don't look at the big picture and they see something more attractive and they're jumping ship.
Yeah. So we still could retool, trade some of those assets into. I always said Bradley Beal. I even tweeted it on my personal account, Twitter account, that we should get Bradley Beal if we want to stay relevant.
I don't think Bradley Beal's good enough. I think so. Paul George is a top 10 player for sure. I think somehow you have to get another top 10 player to replace him, which is very, very, very unlikely. And I don't
think there's any really, besides Bradley Beal, I don't know of any stars that are really on the block or even
I said
acquirable.
My unrealistic trade that I would love to happen is for us to trade away all those assets to Houston for James Harden and bring him back. Bring back the beard. He's better than Paul George. We win a championship and everything's all happy again. Book it.
Houston is a trade option, but
not in that way.
But not in that way. So we could retool, but it's unlikely. So our first trade possibility, which is maybe the most likely, which is Heat. So we trade Russell to the Heat, and we get back Goran Dragic, which is their starting point guard, and he's kind of old, but he's on an expiring deal.
Mm-hmm.
Justice Winslow, who's on an expiring deal of his rookie contract, so he's about to get paid. He's good. He averaged like 10 points a game. He's a point forward, so he can play. He's kind of like Ben Simmons, just not as good. He's still good, but he's not as good as Ben Simmons. But that similar style. And then either Bam Adebayo, which is their center, and he's kind of like Dwight Howard was with the Magic, but not as good. He's not a 20 and 10 guy every night, but he's probably a 10-10 guy. And if we got him, we'd obviously be moving Adams. And we still might be moving Adams anyway. But and then Tyler Hero. So we'd either get Bam or Tyler. And the Thunder wanted Tyler Hero in the draft. Yeah. That was one of the players they were targeting, but he went 10 picks before ours.
Yeah.
So
obviously other teams recognized his potential and picked him up. I don't like this trade just simply because we have the Heat's picks, and we'd be making them a lot better if we sent Russell over there. So that really hurts those picks. And
they'll be good, but I don't think they won't be competing.
No, and no, I don't think Jimmy Butler and Russell Westbrook,
those guys that I just listed off,
Jimmy Butler and Russell Westbrook aren't going to be able to get along.
You don't think so?
No, not a chance.
So for getting assets back, that makes sense for the Thunder. The assets
are good,
and getting Russell as close to a championship as we can.
Yeah.
So helps him. Because he's given so much, he's given us 11 years for the team. But so yeah, that question is would Jimmy Butler and Russell get along? Who's your number one option? I would think Jimmy Butler, just because Russell's can be more of a passer if he needs to be, but he'll still go out and get his 20 points.
Yeah.
Nobody's stopping Russell from getting.
Yeah.
Either he's getting a triple-double or he's getting 20 points. Yep. Those are the two options, even if he has to shoot 50 shots. So the next trade that's plausible is for the T-Wolves. And so what we found online was T-Wolves would get Russell, obviously. Thunder would get Wiggins Andrew Wiggins, who is overpaid for him.
Yeah.
But he's still young. He's still 24.
And
So
not to mention, someone, I think it was you last night, said he's like prime MJ in the Chesapeake. So
yeah, I saw a tweet of that. He's prime MJ when he comes to the Chesapeake Energy Arena.
So it might be good.
Or when he plays us, he's also really
But I also had him on my fantasy team this year. He is, so I paid attention to his stat line. He's frustrating. Like, he had so much potential. These guys, they said he was the next LeBron James.
the Canadian LeBron James.
The Canadian LeBron, and he has not lived up to the hype whatsoever. So I don't know.
I mean, he still gets about 20 points.
He's a good player. He's a good player. But
so that's the first player. Then we get Jeff Teague, who's their starting point guard.
yeah,
He's not a bad player,
no, he's decent.
but he's not a championship player for the Wolves. So that's why they would be getting rid of him, and he's an expiring deal. So that's a plus for the Thunder. And then maybe they'd have to give a young player like Josh Oki. What was it? Oki?
I don't know how to say Okagi.
So Okiki. That's what we'll go with. He's from Nigeria. And then maybe, so we could get him or another young player like Jarrett Culver, who was just their first round pick. He was pick 7, I believe,
Yeah.
this last year or this most recent draft. It'd be tough to pull him away. But
Yeah, they're high on him, I guess.
yeah, he's good. But if anyone can do it, it could be Presti. And then a first round pick, maybe. So there's a lot of ifs in this one.
I like this trade better than the Heat trade. I know I ragged on Wiggins a second ago, but if we can get Jarrett Culver and Wiggins in the same trade with a potential pick, I think it's worth it because you're taking this top 7 pick who's got a lot of potential. Andrew Wiggins is a solid. I wouldn't call him just a role player, but
He's a good starting player, but he's not.
he's not an all-star.
Yeah.
He's not an all-star by any means, but he's a solid player. And I think that's a good way to start the rebuild without harming your other assets that you had gotten for the Paul George trade. So I like this T-Wolves trade a little bit better.
Yeah, and Jeff Teague, like I said, would be gone in a year.
Yeah.
But because we don't want to hurt the development of Shea.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Shea,
Or Dennis Schroeder, which could be moved also.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he's gone. The biggest thing on this though is how much are we gonna work with Westbrook when it comes to this? Are we gonna try to get Westbrook a situation where he's gonna win a championship, or are we gonna try to get us the best situation? Because I think we're gonna try to get him somewhere he can win a championship out of respect, and I kind of think he deserves it. And if we trade him to the T-Wolves, I know they've got Cat, but I don't think they're not going to compete in either way.
So I think the complete opposite. The Thunder, I don't think they care about the fans, but I don't think they care in the sense that they're going to do what's best for them,
Yeah.
for the team. That's going to make them win.
Yeah.
Which I guess if that's the case, then they'll keep Russell, but they also want to maximize their future assets. So I on a personal level, I think they should trade Russell to a contender. But then you don't get as much, which would be an issue. But I think Sam Presti will ultimately do what's just best for the team.
Yeah.
Because his job is to worry about the team, not worry about Russell Westbrook, or where he's going to get traded to. If he gets traded.
I agree, but like
I said, personally, I think he should. But
yeah, I don't think that is what's going to end up happening. I think that.
You think they'll do both, or they'll?
I think they're going to try to get Westbrook the best situation possible, so I'll back up a little bit. If the opportunity presents itself and the team meets our requirements, then we trade him. If the Lakers obviously can't meet our requirements. If he begs to go to the Lakers, we're not going to trade him just because he wants to go there. We got to get a decent return for his contract. And so it really just depends on what teams can offer us. But I don't think I don't see us just screwing him over and
Sending him to the
sending him
Suns.
to the Suns. Yeah.
Yeah. Even though the Suns wanted him not
Yeah.
too long ago, but
Yep.
which, looking back, maybe we should have done that trade.
What was the trade again? What was it?
It was just like Russell, and we'd get T.J. Warren, who they just traded their pick. It was like number 4, and I think a couple other players that weren't all that great.
Yeah.
Suns fans weren't too happy about the rumors. I mean, obviously, we're high on Russell, but a lot of the league isn't all
Russell
that
has terrible PR right now, and which sucks.
great. Next question.
It really sucks though, because it's like a sort of confirmation bias when you watch Russell Westbrook play, because you hear about how bad of a shooter he is. He's a bad shooter, but then it's like every time he misses, that's amplified in your head. A lot of people didn't realize in several games in the first round, Paul George shot worse than Russell Westbrook, and no one really paid
No one
attention to
batted
that.
an eye, yeah.
When it comes to just playing percentages, there's worse in the league, but I think
And every player has a bad game. Every player has a bad game, so
yeah, and but I also think it's the shot selection too that really affects people. So he'll hit quite a few shots, and then he'll take the most boneheaded pull-up three-pointer with 23 seconds on the shot clock still, and it just drives people insane. And it just makes, I mean, it just kind of like
it's
amplifies.
more polarizing for.
It is. It amplifies how people see him, and he's got a terrible reputation for being a chucker. And when you see those shots, that just reaffirms that opinion. So,
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. So the next trade that we saw plausible was Rockets. They said they're interested. Who knows?
don't do it.
So we talked about getting James Harden, or Keaton said he wanted James Harden back.
Bring him back. Make the Rockets rebuild instead.
Run it back from 2012,
Run it
guys.
back.
So they'd get Russell and maybe Adams if they could get a 3-team trade, because obviously they have a similar contract to Russell's with Chris Paul, but he's older and I think it's more money.
He's older and he's worse by a lot.
So I don't think they have the cap space, or their team would even be any good if they had Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden. That would not be all that great of a team, just because they all play the
need
basketball
the ball.
exactly
Yeah.
the same.
They're all ball dominant.
So if they could do a 3-team trade, they'd maybe get Westbrook and Adams, and then they'd give up Chris Paul. I still think if they get Russell, they'd still have to give up Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Maybe not initially in a 3-team trade, but another
Eventually
trade
down
for
the
somebody
road.
else with another team.
I hate this trade so much.
Well, let me get into the players.
Okay.
Thunder would get Clint Capella, Eric Gordon, and probably a first-round pick, just because Clint Capella's good, but he's 20. He's a little younger than Adams, not by much. And Eric Gordon, an expiring deal, and a good serviceable guard.
Yeah.
So you said you didn't like it?
Yeah, I hate this because who wants to go see Russ win a championship with Harden in Houston? No Thunder fan wants to see that whatsoever. And then that's the emotional side. On the
Statistical side or
logical side, we're not getting future assets. Like Clint Capella and Steven Adams practically cancel each other out. I mean, I'd be a little bit higher on Clint Capella, I guess, but
he's just a little younger.
he's not that much better. So I think all around this is a complete wash, and it would really suck to see.
If this trade were to happen, we'd obviously have to trade either Clint Capella or Adams.
Yeah.
Because they're similar. They're too similar.
Yeah.
You couldn't play them side by side, and you couldn't put one on the bench. They'd be upset. Sorry, battling a little cold. Both of us have
Same.
a cough. So the next trade would be the Pistons. So the Pistons right now have their starting five is like Reggie Jackson, Luke Kennard, or another guard. Then they had who was at their 3? I'm blanking on his name. I think last year they had Stanley Johnson, which he just signed with the Raptors. But they'd have a serviceable 3, and then they have Blake Griffin, which is the big part. Then they have Andre Drummond. So if we traded them, Russell, their starting 5 would be Russell. Their main guys would be Russell, Blake Griffin, and Andre Drummond. Which
that's a legit.
That's a team for the
3.
East, yeah, for sure. That would be a contender in the East, most likely. Especially this next year because it's pretty open.
Yep, completely.
Because you have to beat the Nets, and they only have Kyrie and DeAndre Jordan.
You got to beat
Boston
Sixers.
Sixers and Celtics.
I think the Celtics will be better this year.
So they would definitely be a top 4 team. This trade would probably help. This team would help Russell win most likely win a championship.
He'd get out of the first round 100%. So if that's all he cares about, then.
So this would be a good trade in that aspect for Russell. But us getting back Reggie Jackson, who we traded away several years ago, he's bad locker room, especially for the Thunder.
Yep.
The fans would not like it.
Nope.
Tony Snell, who, let's see, so Reggie Jackson has an expiring deal. Tony Snell has, I think he's making $10 million. He's a 3-and-D guy, so he has a player option. And then Luke Kennard, or their most recent pick, and he is from not the United States. Hard name to pronounce. Siku, I believe his first name is.
Siku Gyomya.
So we'd either get that guy or Luke Kennard, who Luke Kennard was their last year's pick, first-round pick, and he's a 3-point shooter. He reminds me of Kyle Korver a little bit. Just really young. And then most likely a first-round pick.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on this one?
I don't mind this. I don't mind this trade. I don't want Reggie Jackson. I'm sure if we traded for him, we'd flip him. I do like Luke Kennard, but if we're trading with the Pistons, I want some picks in the future. I want at least 2 or 3. I don't know why we can't get even more. I mean, we just got 7 with Paul George. So if we can get picks, then I want that.
Yeah, I just said a first-round pick. I'm sure.
Yeah, obviously.
We might get several.
Yeah, they have to make the money work, but in this case, we have all the leverage. So because we're the one making them a championship contender, but. You want picks from Detroit. Who wants to play in Detroit? After Russ gets old, and Blake Griffin doesn't have much longer either.
He's close to 28.
That
29.
team is going to be bad. That team is going to be terrible. I think, how old is Blake Griffin? I thought he was even older than that.
He's pretty close to 30, but his main game is athleticism.
Yeah.
I mean, he has gotten
and he's
better.
injury prone. He's 30.
He's 30?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So he doesn't have very much longer. If you get some picks that are 4 years from now, 3 or 4 years from now, those are lottery picks, almost guaranteed. With the Clippers, it's not really guaranteed because they're in LA. So, and the league is sort of shifting over back towards the big market teams. But Detroit is a crappy city that people don't want to go to. So,
sorry, Detroit fans.
Sorry, yeah. No
or
offense.
even people
no
that
offense.
live in Detroit.
People could say the same thing about Oklahoma City, but it's pretty nice here.
So that helps Russell. Russell would obviously go to a team that would contend in the East. I don't know if they could necessarily beat a lot of the top-tier West teams, but they would definitely get out of the first round, maybe even second round, which would be farther than we've gotten in the last 3 or 4 years. So,
yeah.
In that sense, it's good. We don't necessarily get all that many assets back. A couple picks, but that picks aren't as good as young players.
No,
young, proven players. But
I think I was having this argument with someone the other day. The picks aren't as good as young, proven players, but I want to take all the chances we possibly. So this team isn't going to become a contender again unless we get superstars like we did originally, and I don't see any young potential superstars right now. I mean, in these trades.
In these trades. Okay.
In these trades. And I think you got to get as many. You got to load up on picks. You got to get your picks, the Clippers picks, and some other teams' picks. You've got 3 picks that potentially, I mean, could be high in the future. That gives
or
you
even trade up. You say, "Oh, we want maybe.
Oh yeah, we want that number one pick. We'll trade you.
Say it was Zion. We want Zion. We'll give you 5 picks.
Yeah, we want
or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So that gives you the best chance of getting a superstar, and that's how I would rebuild if I was coming at it again. Because we're not going to attract superstars to Oklahoma City. I think we have to get it through the draft, and outside of the Nuggets, I don't see any teams that have built from a draft without legitimate superstars. I mean, the Nuggets have all-stars, but I don't see them. They don't have a legit like household name really. Jokic is making his way. He's making his way up there. But they've made it work. I don't know. I've never seen it. I don't think I can think of any other times where it's happened, but I really just want to go for a superstar again.
That's the problem with being a small market team. You can't really attract anybody. You got to basically build through the draft. You get a superstar. They're friends with somebody and they bring them in, or you trade.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really the only way.
Yep. And now the league is just completely shifting.
Because the Pelicans, which is not a small market team, a smaller market.
Actually, surprisingly, the Pelicans are the smallest market in the NBA.
Really?
Yeah. The hurricane kind of took out New Orleans. Yeah.
So you have smaller market teams like New Orleans, Oklahoma City, Milwaukee, the Hornets, Charlotte Hornets. I'm trying to think of some others. The Suns maybe are kind of the smaller market.
The Grizzlies, Timberwolves.
So most of these teams are going to have to. They're not. I mean, obviously we all know the cities, but they're not going to attract players like LA and New York. I mean, even though we saw how New York did, or the Knicks,
which blows my mind. So the reason that players want to play in big markets is because they can make more money. They have more commercial opportunities. There's
grow their brands,
more signing deals, which doesn't make any sense. Which makes sense 20 years ago, but we live in the internet times.
That's even one of the reasons why Russell has said that. He's confirmed it.
We live in the internet times. Anyone can get a deal anywhere. It doesn't matter if you live in LA or not. So to me, there's an attraction. I mean, LA is a cool city. I've been there a few times. It's a lot of fun, but to me, the attraction is the nightlife scene. That's kind of how I see how these guys, or why these guys like going there, or just the idea. There's like this idea of, oh, LA, that's where all the stars are. I just want to be.
It's next to Hollywood.
Be with them, yeah. And I mean, I don't think it's just so they can get deals anymore. It's just LA has the best brand.
It's just the ego of the city.
Yeah,
I don't know if ego's the right word.
The brand of the city.
The brand of the city is what pulls everybody in.
Yep. And I mean, I don't blame them for LA.
I don't personally like. I mean, I've visited several times, but it's not somewhere I would want to live.
No.
But I'm not from there, so like Kawhi and Paul George, they're not from LA. They're a suburb of LA, but
yeah.
Them wanting to go home, I see that attraction for that, but not necessarily anyone else. I mean, like I said, if that's home, that makes sense. But for a random player, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah,
at least in my opinion.
And I don't think it's going to change, though. But I think the league's just going to keep going. It's completely shifted. None of the small market teams now, none of their superstars are safe anymore. Giannis could have asked for a trade right now, and for some reason, Milwaukee would just have to do it.
Yeah, there's just this sense of NBA. Every team wants a future. Unless you're winning right now, you have to have a future. And so, say Giannis demanded a trade from his team. The team doesn't want him to be a cancer in the locker room.
Yeah.
Hate the city, and then they also don't want to lose him for nothing.
Yeah,
exactly. If that makes sense. So that's like, it's that aspect of, well, we got to trade him because we got to get something for him, and there's that kind of. It goes back to that James Harden trade with Presti, almost in my mind, because he didn't demand a trade, but he wouldn't sign for $8 million less or $9 million
It was like
less.
$5 million, I think.
Okay, so he wouldn't sign for however much money it was, $5 million less than max. And Presti's mind is, well, I don't want. He'll leave next year in free agency because he didn't sign the extension. So let's get something back for nothing.
Yeah.
So he got something back. Everybody trashes him for it, but the next free agent to leave was Durant. We got nothing back for him. So it's that either you take the chance of him leaving for nothing or you just trade him.
And I think now teams saw Kevin Durant leaving us in shambles, and now everyone is panicking. It's
oh, you want to trade? Okay.
Oh yeah. They're like, what? We got a great haul for Paul George. Sam
Presti did an amazing job.
Yeah, but dude, if they don't offer that much, why would we want to make this deal? Like, what is telling us, okay, let's go make another team better, a team that's competing with us, and by trading our player, making us worse? It just makes no sense to me. Why do executives have to listen to what the players want? They signed a contract. We could take they could take time and maybe try to talk them out of it. Convince them to stay. Just
maybe
like
make a trade to bring somebody in.
Exactly,
I see your point, but I think another thing that scared executives was Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis not playing,
sitting out. I think the league said that he had to play.
Mm-hmm.
I think they eventually came out and said that he had to play, but that doesn't mean he's going to play good. I mean,
yeah.
But I also think that Anthony Davis was in a very sour spot.
Yeah, they didn't.
A lot more sour than
Paul George. Paul George was in a great place. He had a good friend in Russell Westbrook. They seemed to get along really well. He was an MVP candidate. Did he finish third?
Yeah.
Third in MVP voting. The season was ruined by his shoulder injuries. I don't think his mind is like seeing that. It's like, it's just the immediate, oh my gosh, LA, oh my gosh, Kawhi, he just won a championship. Oh, okay, I need out of here. And then within just a few hours or a couple days of him asking for a trade, he's gone. It just blows my mind that.
I think it's just scared. They're just scared to lose for nothing, even though he's under contract for 2 years.
2 more years. Like run it back this year and then go join them next year. We'll trade them next year. I'm complaining too much because the trade we got was great, but in the scenario that it wasn't as good as, let's say Russell Westbrook demands a trade, and we don't get near as high value for Russell Westbrook as the Paul George trade because it's going to be hard to match. Why do we have to trade him now? There's no reason. He's still under contract.
If we're not going to trade Russell, we shouldn't have traded Paul George.
Yeah,
because then we're going to be rebuilding with Russell, who will put us, like you said, the 10th seed. Because we traded Paul George, we almost have to trade Russell.
Yeah, I'm not saying we.
Oh, so you're saying without a Paul George
hypothetical
trade.
Situation.
Okay, so we still had Paul George.
Yeah.
And Russell demanded a trade.
Yeah. Or say like Giannis, a team that easily could have been in the championship last year, demands a trade. Why does the executive have to listen to that?
I don't think he has to, and he could also trade him to a poor team, or not a poor team, but a not great team like the Suns or the Grizzlies.
See, that's what I want to start happening. So
to trade him to a bad team.
Why did they trade Anthony Davis to the Lakers? They got a great deal. They could have just traded him off to freaking Minnesota and screwed him over completely. That's what needs to start happening to end this ridiculousness. Yeah. You can't just demand a trade to whatever team you want unless they have pieces to offer back.
So the Paul George trade and Anthony Davis trade are kind of exceptions to that rule
because they had the assets to trade us back or trade them back. But I just see that the future of the NBA is going to become superstars drafted in small markets demanding a trade to go play in New York or New Jersey or I guess Brooklyn, and LA or Golden State, and that's just going to ruin the NBA. So they need to someone needs to get traded to a small market, crappy team, and end this madness before it starts.
So even the initial Paul George trade, he demanded to go to L.A.
Yeah,
and L.A. was like, why would we do that? He's on an expiring deal. He's going to come here anyways.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So they made the mistake of not trading for him and waiting. And Pacers traded him to Oklahoma City. And, I mean, I guess he eventually went to L.A., but he didn't go to the Lakers. So he said he wanted to play for the Lakers. They waited. They didn't get him. He went to Oklahoma City, liked it, stayed. And they still don't have him because he went to the Clippers.
Yeah.
So it kind of happened, but it didn't. Because they have two teams there, they have an advantage of having two. They have two opportunities to go back to LA.
It just is ridiculous. I think there's a good chance we're entering an era where the big markets are just going to be completely dominant over the small markets.
I mean, I guess that's an option. I think that's the option. That's a path of the way that NBA can go, unfortunately.
It's going to be fun this year, outside of being a Thunder fan. The league is decently balanced.
Anyone has a shot, especially in the West.
Yeah.
So the East still seems open to me because there's not...
KD's not playing.
KD's not playing, and there's not a ton of superstars over there. I mean, Kyrie.
I think Giannis is coming out.
Giannis and Kyrie are the only two superstars over there.
I don't think Kyrie's a superstar anymore.
So, okay, maybe not a superstar, but
he's
those are
second best player in the East right now.
In the East, so and John Wall's hurt, so I mean, there's still Bradley Beal, but the Wizards are going to be terrible. So let's get through the next. Wait, I've got two more trades to go over, and your thoughts on them, Keaton. So the Magic, there's two potential trades with the Magic that I see and that I found online. The first one would get the best player out of all these teams, getting the best player back, which would be Aaron Gordon. He's young. Keaton, if you look up his age, he's young. He's proven to be an all-star.
23 years old.
He's 23.
Oh, man.
So he's still young, but he would obviously be the best player we could get out of any of these trades. We'd send Russell to the Magic, who would they made the playoffs last year. I think they were the 8th seed. But they would still they still wouldn't be amazing. They would probably move up in the ranking, but they wouldn't be contenders. We get Aaron Gordon, Markelle Fultz, who is a project with his horrible shot, and then DJ Augustine, and then I'm sure several picks. Which DJ Augustine is a decent backup point guard who I think is on an expiring deal. So, and then the next one would be Evan Fournier, Mo Bamba, who was their last year first round pick, which was a dumb pick by them because they have an all-star starting center already. They just drafted best available, and then some future picks. So out of these two, Keaton, which would you like if, say, this trade was to happen, or we were to trade with the Magic?
I don't know if this trade is, I guess the salaries align or what, but I want Aaron Gordon and I want Markelle Fultz, and then I want to drop DJ Augustine and get future picks from the Magic.
I think the Augustine would probably be just he's probably contract thing.
Yeah, he's probably matching the salary or
close to it.
Close to it, yeah. But no, I think Aaron Gordon's pretty legit. He's a solid player. He could be an all-star in the future.
I think he's maybe not an all-star, but he's very close.
Yeah.
He plays. He's a tweener between small forward and power forward, but he's more of a power forward.
Super athletic guy.
Mm-hmm.
Another
won the dunk, or no, he got second in the dunk contest.
Yeah, Sam Presti's. I think he won one before though.
Maybe he did.
Yeah.
Maybe he won it.
Won and then got second the next year.
He was definitely a dunk contest finalist, I guess is the right word.
But okay, so then Markelle Fultz, the meme of the NBA. I feel bad. I feel so bad for this guy. He's obviously in his own head because he used to be able to shoot so well.
In college, he shot decent.
Yeah.
His shot was ugly, and they tried to change it, and now it's in his head that...
Yeah, if he's just a head case, I think he could be legit. Like he was the number 1 overall pick. This guy had incredible potential. If it's not just in his head, I don't think they've ever confirmed if there's like some nerve issues in his shoulder or what. But if that's the case, then I don't want him. But if it's just a head case, then yeah, bring him on. Like, let's
We'll work with him.
high risk, high reward. Probably won't pan out, but let's work with that dude and try to get him some.
I mean,
confidence.
we've helped Ferguson's shot.
Yeah,
We haven't helped Andre Robertson's, but he's.
I mean, the potential's there in his shot. He's done it before.
It's just, well, with Robertson, it's in his head too. But I mean, we haven't seen him play in 2 years, so
Yeah.
he could be different now. So you like the Aaron Gordon one?
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind getting Mo Bamba, especially if we're gonna move
Adams.
I
I just don't want to hear the song all the time.
Siri, play Mo Bamba. And then, so, I mean, it's not a horrible trade, either of those two. Evan Fournier, he's a serviceable shooting guard, but that's not necessarily what we need. We either need assets, young players, or picks, or expiring deals is
Yep.
pretty much the way I see it. So neither of these two are fantastic. I mean, like I said, I like the Mo Bamba one a little bit better, but
I
just because
see
he's less of a project than Marco Fultz.
see a tweet.
Oh, you see a tweet?
Okay, so this guy says he has a source in Oklahoma. I mean, who knows what the heck source it is, and this guy's not a super legit reporter. He's just a Thunder account that said trading Russ is a last resort for the Thunder, and they're looking for deals for Adams to keep the team competitive, but they don't want a complete rebuild yet. If they can't build a team around Russ, then they trade him. Is how he's saying it.
Okay.
So
I mean, a lot of these, I guess if that's completely true, a lot of these trades probably wouldn't happen. We'll go over this last one with the Mavs. So Mavs would send Oklahoma City Tim Hardaway Jr., who shoots a lot of threes, shoots a lot, not necessarily super effective, athletic. Courtney Lee, who's a 3-and-D, one of the original, one of the 3-and-D guys. He usually makes a lot of money. He got paid a ton by the Knicks a couple of years ago. He made like $15 million a year. And he's not even as good as Danny Green, who makes 15 now. Jalen Brunson, who is I believe a young player, drafted semi-recently, maybe last year. And then the website said, I think it was CBS. No, maybe it was NJ.com or one of the websites said a 2023 first-round pick, protected top 10, and then a 2025 pick. So, not great. Not a great trade, but you get something back. You get a couple picks. What do you think?
I think it's okay. It's not my favorite trade. I wouldn't do this personally, but if you can get the late picks, and I don't know much about Jalen Brunson. He's 22 years old, and last year was his rookie year.
Okay,
so
yeah, he'll be a sophomore.
Yeah, so he's someone we could develop. I don't know how good he is and whatever, but it's not my favorite trade. It would make the Mavs legit though.
Yeah, they would definitely be.
They would.
They would definitely be probably. It depends on Porzingis, but they'd be a top.
Yeah.
They'd definitely 100% make the playoffs if they stayed healthy, and they'd probably be a top 5 team. They would probably replace the Thunder in the power rankings or in the seeding. So out of all these trades, which one's your favorite to help Russell?
To help Russell,
To win a championship.
Probably the Mavs. If Kristaps is Kristaps.
Okay.
If he's not, then I think
The Pistons probably.
The Pistons probably. Yep. I don't think anyone else really competes with Russ. A lot of people are high on the Heat, but I mean, Jimmy Butler to me is a poor man's Paul George, or not a poor man, but like a middle class man's Paul George. And I I don't think that they're any better than the Thunder were this year. In fact, I think they're quite a bit worse. So, yeah, I'd have to say the Pistons have the best chance at
Besides the
winning
Mavs.
championship.
So if they went to the East, the Pistons, and the West, Mavs.
Yep.
I'd say Pistons would definitely be the best one for Russell. Obviously, we're not getting a ton back. The other one would, my next one would probably be T-Wolves.
Yeah.
That helps both of us. That's not a great trade, but it helps both of us for Russell's contract of $40 million a year.
Yeah, honestly, I think Russell Westbrook doesn't get traded this summer. I think he gets traded before the All-Star break, right before there's going to be a team that is on the cusp of competing, but is not quite there. I mean, kind of like a Thunder this last year was, I guess. And they're going to be desperate. They're going to want to win, so they'll trade the house for Russell Westbrook and hopefully make them a competitor and hopefully get us
works out for both teams.
Yeah, it works out for both teams. I'd love to get equal or close to equal value that we got for Paul George. That would be insane, but I think he's worth it.
I think Russell can put up the stats he's put in 2016 again.
Maybe.
I think he can. I think people are down on him because this last year he didn't do as well. He didn't shoot well. But I think is one of the reasons why is because he was taking a backseat to Paul George.
He was, and he was also had twins mid-season, so I'm sure that really affects your game.
Yeah. I saw rumors about a Bucks trade. I think that's just speculation. That wouldn't be all that great for the Thunder. But it would definitely help them a lot if they could do that.
Yeah, they would.
Which they just signed Giannis's brother, older brother, to a 2-year contract. Kind of funny. So I don't know. I haven't really looked into an Adams trade for assets instead of a superstar. So if we were to trade Adams, I'm not for sure what all we could get back.
I guess Bradley Beal's the best option when it comes to
getting
Steven
a
Adams.
Superstar. Yeah. We could trade for Clint Capella.
No.
With Steven Adams. I'm just listing things. Clint Capella's not as good as Steven Adams, but he's close, and he's also cheaper.
Yeah.
That's my thought process behind that.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't know of too many.
There's no
standout centers that.
Well,
are cheaper.
New Orleans will take Adams' spot. Before we wrap this up, let me look up top 15.
I'm trying to think of. Well, I can't even think of small forwards that would. Small forwards. I'm trying to think of ones that are good that would be on the market.
DeMar.
Yeah, there's DeMar. We could trade. That wouldn't be a horrible trade.
No, I wouldn't mind it actually. Yeah,
getting DeMar for I almost said Serge Ibaka. Steven Adams.
I don't know why they would do that though. I don't think that makes sense on their part really.
It helps. So then LaMarcus would play more of the 4. Because he plays kind of center forward.
Yeah, he does.
Get DeJounte Murray, but he's a point guard, so we don't need that. It's just not.
There's not a lot of options.
So DeMar or Bradley Beal would probably be our best bets. I didn't really think about DeMar's not. I don't think he's on the block, but I don't think the Spurs would mind moving him.
I don't even know if necessarily they need another all-star. Maybe they just need to get someone. Maybe they need to get like 2 or 3 shooters that can knock them. We got Gallinari. Go get 2 more and just run it back. See how it looks.
I could see us making the playoffs, but
yeah, maybe we're not competing anytime soon. But yeah.
Do you have any hot takes you want to talk about? Or do you have any last words? I guess. Not last words like I'm going to kill you, but last words as in before we end the episode.
Hot take. James Harden comes back to Oklahoma City. We trade
Steven Adams and all those 7 picks.
We trade all those picks and Steven Adams for James Harden. You heard it here first, guys.
I wouldn't hate that, but unlikely. I guess we'll wrap it up.
All right.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check us out on our socials at Slumpy Technical on Twitter and Facebook. And also like and subscribe on YouTube. And shout us out on Spotify. So thanks for stopping in. This has been Simply Technical.